At over 200 miles per hour, disaster is always lurking for F1 drivers. Some of the worst wrecks have pushed pilots to the very limits of survival. In this video, I'll count down the most shocking car crashes in F1 history. You'll witness flip after terrifying flip as cars disintegrate into flaming debris. I'll reveal that the crashes were so intense that drivers were lucky to limp away with their lives. Stick around to the end for what many call the worst F1 accident ever. A crash so devastating it stopped the heart of the motorsport world. These jaw-dropping collisions underscore the ever-present dangers faced by pushing these cars to their extremes. Let's buckle up for the worst of the worst. Formula One racing is the pinnacle of motorsports, with the world's best drivers pushing their cars over 200 miles per hour around the track. However, racing at such extreme speeds comes with inherent risks, and F1 has seen some horrific crashes over the decades. In this video, we'll look back at some of the worst collisions in the history of the sport. From hair-raising flips to heart-stopping impacts, we'll see just how devastating F1 crashes can be when drivers lose control at high speed. Their stories underscore the constant threat of disaster, even for the most skilled pilots. Lorenzo Bandini, 1967, Monaco Grand Prix. The 1967 Monaco Grand Prix witnessed a fateful turn of events for Lorenzo Bandini. He was putting up an impressive performance, trailing in second place behind Denny Hulme. However, tragedy struck when Bandini lost control of his vehicle. The car veered off the track and ended up in a disastrous crash. As if the crash itself wasn't terrible enough, the situation quickly worsened. Upon impact, the car flipped over, and the force of the collision caused the fuel tank to rupture, leading to a terrifying fireball that engulfed the car. Marshals at the scene found themselves in an incredibly challenging situation. The flames constantly grew, making the rescue operation even more daunting. Despite their valiant efforts, it took precious time to extract Bandini from the burning wreckage. When they finally succeeded in pulling him from the vehicle, the extent of his injuries became painfully apparent. Bandini had sustained third-degree burns, and his condition was dire. An ambulance rushed him to the hospital, where a team of medical professionals fought tirelessly to save his life. Sadly, despite their best efforts, Bandini's injuries proved too severe. 3 days later, at the age of 31, the racing world mourned the loss of a talented and promising driver. Gilles Villeneuve, 1982, Belgian Grand Prix. In the closing stages of the qualifier session at the 1982 Belgian Grand Prix, Gilles Villeneuve aimed to improve his position and lap time. However, his ambition led to a catastrophic turn of events. Attempting to overtake another racer, there was a clear confusion regarding the side to complete the maneuver. In the midst of this confusion, Villeneuve's car made a fateful choice. It went right and collided with the vehicle he was trying to pass. The collision was brutal, causing Villeneuve's car to somersault multiple times before the final impact. This impact was so devastating that Villeneuve was forcefully ejected from his car. The consequences were tragic. Villeneuve was left in a critical condition and immediately rushed to the hospital. However, just hours later, the heartbreaking announcement was made. Gilles Villeneuve had lost his life, leaving the racing community in shock and grief. Jules Bianchi, 2014 Japanese Grand Prix. The 2014 Japanese Grand Prix will always be remembered for an unusual and tragic incident. It occurred during a lap of the race that was heavily influenced by adverse weather conditions. Sauber's Adrien Sutil found himself off the track and collided with a wall. To recover Sutil's vehicle, a crane was brought into play, leading to an unforeseen and grievous twist of fate. Jules Bianchi, driving for Marussia, found himself driving directly into the path of the crane. The impact was devastating. Bianchi lost consciousness and was immediately placed in intensive care. The head injuries he sustained in the accident proved insurmountable, and the motorsport world mourned the loss of a promising talent as Jules Bianchi passed away. His absence left a void in the Formula One paddock, and his memory is honored to this day. Ronnie Peterson, 1978, Italian Grand Prix. The 1978 Italian Grand Prix was marred by a series of unfortunate events. During a practice session, Team Lotus driver Ronnie Peterson found himself in a challenging situation. Facing technical difficulties with the car he was meant to drive, he was forced to use an older model instead. When the main race commenced, chaos ensued as the race started before all cars were in their respective positions. The ensuing havoc and confusion resulted in a horrifying collision. Peterson's car collided with the McLaren driven by James Hunt. The collision was catastrophic, causing Peterson's car to crash into a barrier and erupt in flames. Hunt and several crew members acted heroically to extract Peterson from the burning wreckage, but the injuries he had sustained were severe. He was immediately rushed to the hospital. Tragically, the next morning, Ronnie Peterson was pronounced dead, the victim of a fat embolism. The racing world mourned the loss of a promising talent, and the circumstances of the incident left many questioning the decisions that had led to this tragic outcome. Romain Grosjean, Bahrain Grand Prix. During the first lap of the Bahrain Grand Prix, a terrifying incident unfolded. Romain Grosjean's car clipped the left front wheel of Daniel Kvyat's AlphaTauri, causing Grosjean's car to lose control and crash into a metal barrier. The impact was so severe that Grosjean's car was literally sliced in half, and a massive fireball erupted. The sight was nothing short of extraordinary. Despite the intensity of the crash and the ensuing inferno, Grosjean miraculously managed to unfasten himself from his racing boot, escape the flaming wreckage, and pull himself to safety. His survival seemed nothing short of miraculous, especially considering that he had spent just 28 seconds inside the blazing car. Grosjean emerged relatively unscathed, suffering only minor burns and a sprained left ankle. His ability to escape what seemed like certain doom was a testament to his quick thinking and a moment of sheer courage. As he later stated, the thought of his children was a powerful motivation not to succumb to the flames, making it an incident that remains etched in the annals of motorsport history. Ayrton Senna, 1994, San Marino Grand Prix. During the 1994 San Marino Grand Prix, a Formula One legend, Ayrton Senna, was leading the race. He had taken a commanding lead over Michael Schumacher, a young talent at that time. Everything seemed to be going according to plan for Senna, who was renowned for his incredible driving skills and charisma. However, on lap 7 of the race, disaster struck. A seemingly ordinary turn proved to be catastrophic. Senna's car suddenly skidded out of control, leaving him unable to regain control. The car hurtled off the track and collided with a concrete wall. The force of the collision was so immense that the car's front wheel and nose were ripped off, leading to a shocking and horrifying scene. The series of incidents you've described serve as poignant reminders of the extraordinary risks that racing drivers face each time they step into a race car. Despite these dangers, the world of motorsport continues to captivate and inspire, with racers and fans alike displaying immense passion for the sport.